management, how can we perform the import and export operations in Salesforce? So as of now, we have created some custom objects. We have some standard objects given by Salesforce by default. In those objects, how can we dump the data? How can we insert the data? Not only one, bulk records, how can we insert? How can we get those bulk records? How to perform these operations by using data management, we'll see practically today. When coming to the organizations, as the developers, they are implementing the applications, and once the application development is done, they're moving that application functionality from one instance to another instance. Like for example, assume that we are the developers. Assume that I'm a developer. Now, as a developer, we have to implement some certain functionalities based on the requirement given by the customer. In order to implement that functionality, we have to use the sandbox. Sandbox is nothing but a development environment where the developers people can able to log in into that application and implement all the functionalities and do the unit testing inside that instance itself. Now we are having so many developers are there inside our organization, inside my team who is working for the same project. So that for every developer, they are going to be allocating one sandbox, nothing but one developer environment to you. And the developers who are going to be logging into this sandbox and they are going to be implementing some certain functionality. And every developer will be logging into their associated sandbox. Or one sandbox can be used by the multiple developers also. Now here, whenever the client is purchasing the Salesforce license, then Salesforce people are going to providing the production license over here. In their production instance, in the production server, they are going to be allocating some amount of memory. Depends upon the country the client is associated, Salesforce people is going to be allocating the memory inside that associated region's available server. If the client is associated with the US, then US will be comes under some North America region. So in that North America region, whatever the servers are available, it will identify, and from those servers, in which server it is having the required amount of memory, it will identify, and in that server it will be allocating the memory for that client. Now the account which they have created, the Salesforce account which they have created, it is called as a Salesforce organization. For each and every instance means a server. For each and every server, Salesforce is going to be maintaining 8,000 plus customers. Nothing but 8,000 plus organizations that are going to be allocating for a single server. Now, when coming to the developers needs to work on this application for the client. Because assume that there is a client that is called as a Merck Pharma. So Merck is a US-based organization. They're purely into the pharmaceutical domain. They are manufacturing some pharmaceutical products and they're selling out these products to the various customers. And they're having so many medical representatives who are going to be visiting the different hospitals and they're meeting the different doctors and they're going to be requesting them to please prescribe our products also to your patients. And frequently they are in touch with the doctors and every week they will be meeting the doctor and then they are going to be suggesting some more new drugs also which they have manufactured. Drugs means the products, nothing but the capsules and the pharmaceutical products which they have manufactured. And frequently for every week they're collecting the feedback from the doctor also. So whether doctor has prescribed these products to any of the patient or not. If the patient has used that products, then what is his comfortableness? Whether the patient is cured with this device, with that disease or not. So now they will be keep on collecting the feedback from the doctors, and then based on that, they are doing some improvements inside these products as well. So now for that here, in order to automate that whole business process, like as a manufacturing the pharmaceutical products, distributing these pharmaceutical products to the different countries and the different states and the locations, and maintaining the information of all these medical representatives and the doctors' information, collecting the feedback from the doctors also, and managing that feedback's information, and storing their employees' information, their sales information, their marketing information, everything they need in application. For that here, Merck wants to use the Salesforce implementation because when coming to the Merck Pharma, they're having so many medical representatives are there. These people are going to be keep on visiting the various doctors. So at that time, they cannot able to carry a laptop and desktop always. So at that time, whatever the device they have, it may be a smartphone, it may be a tab also, they can able to carry that tab, and through the tab, they can able to access this application, and they can able to get some the quotations also from different distributors. They can get the orders from the different distributors also, from the medical shops also. So for that here, they would like to develop the application in such a way that application can be accessible through a tab or through a smartphone also. For that here, they are using this Salesforce application because Salesforce application is purely an on-demand, so that they can able to access that application by using any device whatever they have. So now, based on that application requirement, they have configured this landscape. In this landscape, as soon as the customer is providing that production instance, from that they are going to be creating a stage instance over here. In every organization, they are going to be maintaining their own landscape, nothing but their own different environments inside that application development. Like they're maintaining some developer environment, development server, and then they're maintaining some the QA server, they're maintaining the UAT server, user acceptance testing server, and the state server, which is the replica of the production. They're maintaining the different instances. So now at that time, all these instances are nothing but the sandboxes. These are called as the sandboxes. We are having one production instance, and the remaining all are sandboxes given by the Salesforce to you. Now, who is creating this sandbox? The Salesforce administrator will configure this sandbox here. Now, from the production instance, he is going to be creating the stage. Stage is nothing but it's like as a replica of the production. And then from the stage, they will be creating that UAT. From that, they're creating the QA or the testing server. And then they will be having the developer sandbox. As a Salesforce developer, our role will be in this particular area. This is our area here. As a developer, we have to use this sandbox. Sandbox is nothing but a development environment where the people can able to write the code, they can implement the functionality, and they can do the testing. Now, it may be any type of testing they can do. It may be the functional testing or security testing, performance testing, or whatever. Whatever they want, integration testing, everything they can do by using this sandbox itself. Now, as a developer, we are working on this application, and then we are implementing this application over here inside my sandbox here. As a developer sandbox, every developer should have the administration permissions because we don't know on which feature we are going to be working upon. Now that requirement will decide whether do we need to go for admin, or do we need to go for development, or do we need to go for integration, or do we need to go for all this combination of this. So that requirement will get decides. So for that here, always the developer should have the full rights on that system. Nothing but on the sandbox, he can able to access every feature. Not only the custom features, not only the standard features, all the features he can be able to access that. Now for that, every developer should be having the system administrator permissions over here. Now, so as a developer, we have worked on some modules. Assume that developer 1 has implemented some functionality, developer 2 has implemented some functionality, developer 3 had implemented some functionality here. Now, we are having the release tomorrow. Every developer has done with his task. Now, once the development has been done, then as a developer, it is our responsibility that we have to do the unit testing. Once the unit testing is done, nothing but now, once the unit testing is done, then we are going to be moving that code to the developer instance to the QA instance so that the QA people can access this functionality and they can able to start testing that functionality here. If there is any defects are there, they can able to identify those defects by executing some test cases which they have prepared. So now at that time, in order to do the testing, so that whatever the data is required, whatever the records are required for the testing people, those test bed or those test environments we have to prepare as a developer. Now, whatever the environment is required for the testing people to test that application, that environment we have to provide to the QA people, because the QA people just know how to test the functionality. They don't know what is Salesforce and how to import the data, how to export the data. They don't know all these things. So whatever the records or whatever the data is required to test that functionality, that entire environment, that entire test bed, we have to prepare for the testing people. So that here, now as a developer, we are going to be moving our code. Okay, we are moving our code from our developer sandbox to QA sandbox. Now in this QA sandbox, not only moving the code, we have to move the data also. Okay, we have to move the data also. Data means what? Code means what over here? So now data means the records. Data is nothing but the records to test the functionality here. Data means records. And the code means the functionality which we have implemented here. Nothing but the features implemented in Salesforce. Like as objects. We have created some applications. We have created some objects inside that. We have created some tabs. We have created some validation rules. And then we have created some workflow rules, etc. Along with that, whatever the Apex classes we have created, and the Visualforce pages we have created, triggers we have created, everything. Whatever the functionalities that we have discussed as of now, these are all comes under the code. Now here we have to migrate the code and we have to migrate the data here. Data means records. Data means records, like as the user records and the profiles information to test that particular functionalities, and some account records, and then some products information, product records, etc. These are all are we need to move from our local sandbox to the QA environment so that the people can able to use those records to test that functionality. So now in this kind of scenario, how can we migrate the data here? Data migration is different, code migration is different. Now, when coming to the code migration is called as deployment process. Code migration is called as deployment process. Now, deployment is a different concept. At the end of that development course, we are going to be discussing about the deployment process here. Now, data migration. Data migration means what? Migrating the data. Migrating is nothing but moving the data from one instance to another instance. Migrating the records from one instance to another instance. Migrating means what? Moving the records, nothing but inserting the records, dumping the records here. Not only one record, multiple records as well. Now, so now when coming to the data migration, how can we perform this data migration in Salesforce here? For data migration, we are having so many features are there. By using this data migration, we can perform import and export operations in Salesforce. That is, we can insert the records, we can update the records, we can delete the records, we can retrieve the records. from the objects. From the objects. When coming to the data migration, what are the various features available in Salesforce? In order to migrate the data here, so we are having the different ways are available. Now, for data migration, the first feature is Salesforce is providing a feature called as Import Wizard. Import Wizard. Import Wizard is a feature given by the Salesforce ready-madely by which we can able to just importing the records. Importing means insert and updating the records inside an object here. Now, by using this feature, we can insert or update the records into the objects like account, contact, solutions, campaign member, and all custom objects. Import Wizard will be supporting to importing the data in only few objects, not in all the objects here. Like it is supporting only those objects like as account, contact, solution, and the campaign member. These are the first standard objects it will support, and along with all the custom objects it will support to you. But the application which I'm using is completely a CRM application which has been built by Salesforce. So at that time, I need to dump the data into the various other objects also which has been given by Salesforce by default. So at that time, Import Wizard will not be supported to you. By using Import Wizard, just we can able to perform insert and update operations only. We cannot perform retrieve operation. We cannot perform delete operation from Salesforce. Now, one more thing. When coming to the import Wizard here, by using Import Wizard, we can perform the operations on maximum of 50,000 records. This is the limitation given by Salesforce to you. Now in this Import Wizard, we can able to import or import only the maximum of 50,000 records, not more than that. If you're having some millions and millions of records which needs to be get migrated from one CRM application to another CRM application, so at that time Import Wizard is not flexible, it's not feasible, because it is supporting only some 50,000 records at a time. 50,000 we have to migrate. At that time it will be very difficult process if you're having some millions of records in the source instance. For that, Salesforce is providing an on-premise tool called as Data Loader. Data Loader. Data Loader is an on-premise tool given by the Salesforce to you. Okay, Data Loader is an on-premise tool given by the Salesforce to you by which we can able to perform the import and export operations on all standard and all custom objects in Salesforce. We can insert the records, we can update the records, we can delete the records, we can upsert the records, we can undelete the record, and we can remove the records permanently from Salesforce also. That all the operations will be supported by the Data Loader to you. Now, Data Loader is an on-premise tool provided by Salesforce to perform both import and export operations in Salesforce objects. Data Loader supports all standard objects and custom objects in Salesforce. Then what we can do? By using Data Loader, we can perform the below operations. The first one, we can perform the insert, we can perform the update operation, we can perform delete operation, and we can perform export operation. And then fifth one, we can perform export all operation. And then upsert operation. And the seventh one, we can perform hard delete. These are the various operations we can able to perform with the help of this data loader here. In order to perform these operations, we have to install this data loader into your local system. So for that, now we need to install the data loader tool into our local system or local device. So now here, data loader comes in two flavors. Initially, Salesforce people has provided only one version of data loader, and then, but nowadays usage of MacBooks are very, very high. In the abroad countries, most of the people are using that Apple MacBooks. So at that time, in that device, they have installed that Mac operating system. So at that time, this data loader is not supporting to install inside that device here. So for that, Salesforce people has provided the two flavors of data loader. One is a data loader tool which supports the Windows operating system. And the another flavor is the data loader which supports that Mac operating system. So that here we have to download this particular data loader, depends upon the operating system which currently we have into your device. So now data loader comes in the two flavors. One is data loader for Windows. Second one is data loader for Mac. Depends upon the operating system which you are using inside your device, we have to install that associated tool. Now, so from where we can install this data loader tool here? The navigation. The navigation is go to the setup menu and click on it. Go to the administer menu in the left panel. And go to data management and expand it. Click on data loader link. Click on data loader link and download the data loader tool into the local device. So that here we have to install this data loader tool into your local device in order to perform this import and export operations here. So now let's see here. First we will try to install this data loader, and then we will continue with our information about this data loader tool. Now go to your Salesforce instance. Click on that setup menu. Go to the left panel. Go to the administer menu inside that left panel. Go to the data management and expand it. Inside that, you will be having the data loader. Okay, inside that you will be having the data loader. Click on that data loader. It is providing that information where data loader is a tool which is used to perform bulk import and export operations. Now data loader has come up with the two flavors. One is data loader for Windows, data loader for Mac. Depends upon the operating system which we have currently inside your device, we have to install that associated data loader tool into your local system. I'm having the Windows operating system, so that I'm installing this Windows supported data loader. Click on that link. Automatically data loader will be getting installed into your local device here. So now by using this data loader, what we can do? We can able to perform the import and export operations on the bulk records. Okay, we can perform the import and export operations on bulk records. Then how many records will be supported by this data loader here? Now let's see here. By using this data loader, we can perform the import and export operations on the bulk records up to 5 million. Up to 5 million records. Nothing but data loader will be supporting to perform the operations on up to 5 million records in a single shot. Nothing but 50 lakhs records we can able to process at a time itself. It may be insertion, it may be updation, it may be deletion, it may be retrieval, it may be combination of insertion and updation also both. So now here, when coming to the data loader here, in order to insert the record, then where we have to provide all these 50 lakhs records. If I'm getting the data from that Salesforce instance, then where these records will get stored. So for that here, data loader is going to purely supporting a file format called as CSV file format. Now, data loader will use the CSV file formats to perform the import and export operations. That is, to insert the bulk records, we have to place all the records in the .csv file, nothing but comma separated value file, and supply the .csv file as the input to the data loader. So now here we have to prepare a file, nothing but a .csv file. In that .csv file, nothing but comma separated value file, we have to specify all the information which you want to insert. And from there, we can able to supply this input file to the data loader. So now please get all the records which you have provided inside the file and insert into this associated object. And then, upon exporting the records here, upon exporting the records, Salesforce provides the exported records in .csv file format. Nothing but it may be insertion, it may be updation, it may be performing any operation. Always the file format supported by the data loader is CSV file format, nothing but comma separated value files here. Now in this case, what happened here? Suppose for example, I'm inserting some 1 lakh records by using data loader. So at that time, while inserting those records, if any of the record get fails, then what will happen here? Will it cancel the whole transaction, or will it continue with the rest of the records here? Now we will see practically here. Upon performing the operations into the records, if any operation fails, then data loader allows partial processing. Partial processing means that is nothing but instead of cancelling the whole transaction, it will continue with the rest of the records as well. That is, instead of rolling back the transaction, it will continue with the rest of the records in the file. Nothing but it won't roll back the transaction, and it is going to be continue that partial processing as well. So at that time, some records has failure, some records has inserted. Then how do we know which record has been failure, which record has been success? So for that, Salesforce is generating the two files to you. As an output, whenever you are going to be importing the data, it may be at the time of insertion, at the time of updation, at the time of deletion, or whatever, it is going to be generating the two files to you as an output. Now, data loader generates two output files. One is a success file, which contains the records information which processed successfully, which are processed successfully. And the second one, an error file, the records which are failed to perform the operation, which are failed upon processing. Now here, when coming to the data loader input file format should be CSV and the output file format is also CSV. So now in this case, when coming to the insertion of the record, if any of the operation has been failure, then data loader will not roll back the whole transaction. It is going to be continuing with the rest of the records as well. Nothing but data loader is allowing the partial processing upon performing that import operations inside that. Now, when coming to the data loader over here, whenever it is performing that import operations, if any of the records has been failure, it won't cancel the whole transaction. It is continuing with the rest of the records. So at that time, to maintain that successfully processed records, it will be providing inside a separate file that is called as a success file. And to maintain that error files, nothing but the fail records which has been failed during the processing, it will be maintaining a separate file. You will be getting two files, success file and the error file. Both the files will be getting generated as an output by the Salesforce to you here in terms of data loader. Now, if I'm inserting some 5 million records by using data loader, then data loader will maintain all these 5 million records in a single attempt? No. Data loader is going to be implementing that batch processing internally by default. Batch processing means what? Instead of inserting this whole 50 lakhs records at a time, it is dividing those whole 50 lakhs records into the various small pieces. Each and every piece is called as a batch, which contains some set of records inside that. Now, when coming to the data loader here, now let's see. Data loader implements the batch processing internally, where all the records will be divided into the various smaller chunks. Chunks are batches. Each batch contains set of records. So now, in this kind of scenario, here two ways are available here. If the data loader is using Apex API, at that time, the minimum batch size is 1 and the maximum batch size is 2000. Okay, the minimum batch size is 1, maximum batch size is 2000. Nothing but this is the limitation that we have. Instead of processing all the records at a time, it is dividing the whole records into the various smaller batches here. Now this each batch will be having the records between 1 to 2000 maximum. The minimum batch size is 1, nothing but at least one record should be there in the batch, and the maximum number of records inside the batch is 2000 records. And the default batch size is 200. So now this is the limitation that we have in Salesforce here. Now whenever, if you're having some millions of records, then processing 200 records is difficult process. So at that time, Salesforce is providing one more option to you as part of this data loader if it is using bulk API. Whenever if it is using bulk API, the minimum batch size is 1, the maximum batch size is 10,000. Nothing but per batch we can able to process 10,000 records, and the default batch size is 2,000 records. Now, here when coming to the data loader is going to be internally implementing that batch processing. Instead of inserting all the 50 lakhs records at a time, it is dividing that whole records into various smaller batches. Each and every batch is called as a chunk, and the chunk will be having some set of records inside that. It will be depends upon the API it is using internally by default. If it is using that Apex API, then at that time the batch limit will be 1 to 2000. Nothing but the maximum size of the batch is 2000, and the minimum size is 1, and the default size will be 200. Now, by default, data loader is going to be considering the default batch size for every record, for every batch. If you want to specify your own batch size, then you can specify that range should be minimum 1 to maximum 2000. Depends upon your need. We can able to specify this batch size as well here. Now by using this data loader, how can we perform these operations? Now let's see practically here. So what are the operations it supports? It is supporting that these operations to you. So now what exactly these operations over here? Now, on the data loader tool, we will have the below buttons to perform the operations. Now here you will be having the insert button and an update button, delete button, export button, export all, upsert, and the hard delete. Insert means what? We can insert the records into the associated object. In order to insert the records, we are using that insert button. Update. We can update the existing records in the Salesforce object by using this option. In order to update the records, we can able to use this update option here. But whenever you are updating the record, first of all, we have to use that ID of the record. Based on the ID only, it will be updating those records with the latest values. We have to supply the record ID upon updating the records. Upon updating the records, we have to supply the record ID here. Based on the record ID, it will be fetching that information. It will be updating with the latest information over here. Delete. By using this operation, we can remove.
So we have to update with 18 character ID, right, Firoz?
Data loader will support both 18 characters ID as well as 15 characters ID also here.
So it will convert 15 to 18?
Yes. It will be supporting both 15 characters as well as 18 characters ID both to you.
Oh, okay.
Now by using this delete operation, we can remove one or more records from the object. Now, at that time, how can we remove that record? In order to remove the record, just the ID is enough. We need to have the record ID. We need to have the record ID to remove the records. Now, what will happen to the deleted records? Once the record has been removed, then deleted records will get resides in recycle bin for 15 days. Recycle bin for 15 days here. These records will not be removing permanently. These records are going to be storing inside the recycle bin for 15 days. From there, we can able to restore these records back. Or else, automatically Salesforce will be removing those records which are older than 15 days inside the recycle bin. Now, export operation. Export operation means what? Selecting the records from Salesforce object to your local system. Now, by using this operation, we can get all our required records from the Salesforce object. Whatever the records that you want, we can able to fetch those records from that object here. You may fetch all the records, you may not fetch all the records here. The next one, export all. Now, this is also like as an export operation where it is going to be returning the records which are currently available inside the object as well as the records which you have recently deleted also. Suppose, for example, I have an account object. Inside that account object, I'm having some 20 records are there. From the 20 records, yesterday I have removed some 5 records. So that in my object, how many records are there? 15 records. And 5 records are there in that recycle bin. So now at that time, if I'm using that export operation is going to be purely returning only those records which are currently available inside that object. Nothing but undeleted records it will return to you. Sometimes I need that deleted records also along with this undeleted. So at that time, we have to use export all. Export all button is going to be returning all the records from the object along with deleted records as well. It is returning the records from the object, from the specified object, along with the deleted records also. Along with the deleted records. Upsert operation. Upsert means what? Upsert is nothing but the combination of insert and update here. Upsert operation is nothing but the combination of update and insert. Nothing but both insert operation and update operation we can able to perform in a single transaction. The flexibility will be available here. So now for that, if you are performing the operations in a single shot, both insert and update, then whatever the records for which you have supplied the ID, those records will be getting updated. And whatever the records for which you did not supply the ID inside that CSV file, those records will be getting inserted automatically here. Now, we can able to perform both the operations also in a single shot. Next one, hard delete. Hard delete means what? We can remove the records permanently from Salesforce. From Salesforce object. I don't want to move these records to that the recycle bin. I want to remove these records permanently from Salesforce instance. So at that time, we have to go for the hard delete option. So these are the 7 buttons are available to you on the data loader tool. So now let's see this data loader tool. How can we use this data loader tool? How can we perform all these operations? Now we'll see practically over here. Now, in order to use the data loader tool, already we have discussed that. We have to download the data loader tool from your Salesforce instance by using this navigation part. We have discussed about this navigation. And then go to that setup menu. Go to the administer menu in the left panel. Go to the data management option and expand it. Inside that, you will be having a link called as data loader. Now, Salesforce is providing the 2 flavors of data loader, that is data loader for Windows, data loader for Mac. Depends upon the operating system which you are having inside your device, then we have to install that associated data loader tool inside your local system. If you are using some MacBooks, then we can use the data loader for Mac operating system. If you are using some Windows operating system in your device, then use that data loader for Windows. Now let's install that tool right now here. Now the tool has been, we have downloaded now, just now. Now install the tool. Apex data loader. Now click on run. Now install the tool by using that. I agree that terms and conditions. So now I'm installing this data loader tool. Now the tool has been installed. Whenever you're installing the tool, first of all, we should have that Java runtime environment inside that. You have to install this Java runtime environment, nothing but JDK should be there and the JRE should be there. Then only we can able to install this tool over here. Now we can install that JRE and the JDK from the Oracle website. Now we can install that. So now here I'm installing the Java tool, Java JDK and the JRE into my system here. So now Java has been configured successfully. Let's try to open the tool. Now the data loader tool is available to you. So now this is the data loader tool that we have, which has been given by the Salesforce to you by default. Now use this tool in order to perform the bulk import and export operations. Inside this tool, you will be having some set of buttons are available, like totally 7 buttons are available. Insert to insert the records, update to update the records, upsert to perform insert and update operations in a single shot, delete to remove the records, hard delete and to remove the records permanently, export to get the records, export all to get the records along with the deleted records also. Now this hard to delete button will be getting disabled by default here. How to enable, I will let you know. Now, so now when coming to the data loader, it is providing all these options to you. Then how can we use this data loader to connect into my Salesforce instance? Now, whenever, if you want to perform any operation, first of all, we have to connect to your Salesforce instance from this data loader tool. Data loader is an on-premise tool. Salesforce is an on-demand application. So at that time, first of all, you have to connect from data loader to your Salesforce instance. Then how can we connect from data loader to your Salesforce instance, and how can we maintain these credentials? Let's see practically here. I would like to extract some data here. I would like to export some data right now. Exporting means what? Getting the data from that Salesforce object. Now let's assume that I'm having some set of records inside my contact object. Inside my contact object, I'm having some set of records available over here. I would like to extract all these records from my Salesforce instance to my local system here. So for that, I would like to export these records. Then how can we export these records? Let's see practically. In order to export the records, as soon as when you click on export button, first of all, it will ask you to provide your credentials. Now specify your credentials. Now which kind of authentication that you want? I want that password authentication here. Select that password authentication. Now it will ask you to specify that username and the password. Whatever the username that and the password that you're using to log into your Salesforce instance, the same username and the password that we have to provide. Now I'm specifying that username here. I'm providing my username and the password. Get this username. So now my username is training.salesforce 2016@gmail.com. Password is, and my password I'm entering over here. Whatever the password that I'm using to log in into that application, I'm using that password. Now I specified that, and I'm specifying that Salesforce login URL. If it is a normal system, nothing but if it is a production instance, then we have to specify login.salesforce.com. If it is a sandbox, then we have to specify test.salesforce.com. In order to log in into that sandbox, we have to use test.salesforce.com. Now click on login, observe what will happen. I have entered the valid username and the valid password. Now when you try to log in into that, it is giving that message, check your username and the password. If you still log in, then please contact your Salesforce administrator. Nothing but why it is giving this kind of error message? Why? Because is now with this username and with this password, we are going to be logging into that. Then at that time, so how can we identify whether you are the right person or not? Might be you got these credentials from some different way. So that Salesforce needs your identity, whether you are the right person or not to log in into this Salesforce instance. So for that here, at that time, along with that password, we have to provide your security token also here. Okay, we have to specify your security token also. So now where we can generate this security token here. Now, upon logging into that Salesforce, we have to provide that password and the security token. Make a note. Upon logging into the Salesforce, sorry, the data loader, we have to provide password plus security token. Security token. Then how can we generate the security token here? Now let's see practically. Now, go to your name on top right corner. On top right corner of your Salesforce instance. And then expand it. And expand it. Click on my settings. Click on my settings link. Go to the left panel. Left panel. And expand personal, expand the personal link. Click on reset my security token button. Reset my security token link. And then click on reset security token button. Then automatically security token will be getting generated. It will be sending to your email ID automatically. Now let's see how can we generate this one. Go to your name on the top right corner and expand it. Click on my settings. Go to the left panel. Inside that you will be having an option called as personal. Expand this personal menu. Inside that you will be having a button called as a link called as reset my security token. Click on reset my security token. It is providing a button called as reset security token to you. Now click on reset security token. As soon as when you click on this button, it is generating a security token to you, which will be sending to the registered email ID. So that we have to go to your email ID, copy that security token and paste along with your password here. Your password is nothing but the security password plus security token. Both we have to combine. Click on reset security token. Now it has generated. It has sent the security token to my email ID here. Now log in into the email application. I'm logging into my Gmail application now. So now I have received that a new developer edition security token. It is providing that security token to you. This is the security token, which will be maintaining like as an identity to identify that user uniquely. Copy this security token. Go to your data loader. Provide your password. And along with that password, just paste your security token. Okay. Your password will be password plus security token both. Now click on login button. It is verifying your username and the password. And now the login is successful. Okay, now the login successful. Go to the next button.
Firoz, that OAuth is for the single sign-on or like REST for?
Yeah, this is for the
API.
single sign-on. For the single sign-on or for the REST API, we can use that OAuth token. So we have to generate that OAuth token and by configuring a connected app, and then we need to use that OAuth token into your data loader to authenticate that.
So from SOAP-UI tool, I can insert data using that way?
Yeah, we can do that. Because that is
So
like as authentication token for that.
So through REST API also, I can insert the data using data loader?
Through data loader is a different feature and the REST API is different feature to you. So now in order to insert that bulk records, we are having the bulk APIs available. Separate set of classes are there, which we can able to use those API classes and we can able to insert by using the REST API as well from one Salesforce instance to another Salesforce instance.
Okay.
Now, so now we have authenticated right now by providing our password and the security token. So now click on export button. Now it is providing that user interface to you. In this user interface, we have to select that object from which you would like to export the data. So now here it is providing only a few set of objects to me here. Only these are the objects that we have in Salesforce. We are having so many. If you want to show all the objects, then you will be having a checkbox called as show all Salesforce objects. Select that show all Salesforce object and automatically it is populating all those objects to you here. Each and every object we can able to cross check over here. Every object will be getting populated to you. All the objects are populated. Now select the object from which you would like to export the data here. I'm selecting that object called as contact. By using this contact, I would like to export the data here. Whenever you are exporting the data, okay, whenever you are exporting the data, in which place I would like to store these files. Now it is exporting the data in terms of the CSV file. Then where we need to place this CSV file here. So that select the target or the destination location. Now select the target for extraction. Now click on choose button and then place wherever you want here. Now on my desktop, I would like to prepare a folder. On my desktop, I'm preparing a folder. It is called as some data loader extractions. Data loader extraction. This is a folder that I have created. In this folder, I would like to store that output files. So now select that file by using that choose file button, browse button. Go to the desktop. I'm having that data loader extraction. Inside that, I would like to save this file. I'm giving the file name as contacts extracts.csv. Because here the input file and the output file format should be always .csv. Data loader will support only that CSV file formats as of now. So that we have to specify that file with the extension .csv, comma separated value file. Click on save. It is providing that particular target extraction location. Then click on next button. As soon as when you click on next button, it is populating all the fields available inside that object. Now select what fields information that you would like to extract. All the fields or only few fields, it depends upon up to you. And while extracting the data, if you want to add any conditions, nothing but the filters, like I want only those contact records which are having some title value equals to manager, or I want only those contact records which are having some the mailing city equals to some Hyderabad. I want only those contact records which are associated with some accounts. Like that here we can able to specify your own filters also. Nothing but this is like as a select statement, that's it. It's like as a select statement. In that select statement, we are adding some where class conditions to filter the data. Like the same way here also we can able to add that. Now, I would like to fetch the data. What columns information that you want? I want that ID column information. And along with that, I want that first name column. Last name column. Observe this one. Whenever I'm selecting the fields, automatically Salesforce is going to be preparing an SQL query over here. The SQL query will be getting prepared over here. Depends upon the number of columns you are keep on selecting, it is preparing that query automatically by default. Now, along with that, I want few more fields information. Like the phone field, fax field, and the mobile number, and the email ID, title, department. So now these are the various of fields that I need over here. And along with that, I need that PAN number. Now these are the various of fields I would like to extract here. Once you select all the columns which you want to extract, then click on finish button. Automatically, it is going to be asking for your confirmation. Do you want to export or not? Yes. When you click on yes, it is going to be extracting the data. It is giving that information that the operation has fully completed. There were 24 successful extractions and 0 errors. Nothing but 24 records has been extracted successfully over here. Now, if you want to see those records, then simply click on view extraction also. When you click on view extraction, it is displaying those records to you. These are the records which we have extracted right now over here. These are the records which we have extracted. Or else, if you want to see those records inside your extraction folder, then go to your desktop. On your desktop, you will be having that extraction folder is available. Open that folder. You will be having a file called as contacts_extracts. When you double click on that, the file will be getting open to you where you will be having all these records information. You will be having the IDs and the last name, first name, and the phone number, fax number, mobile phone, email ID, title, department, and the PAN number. All these fields information is available to you over here. So this is the way we can able to export the records by using data loader tool. Now, for example here, I would like to insert some records right now. Then how can we insert the records? Now let's see practically here. Now I'm creating a copy here. I would like to insert some records. I'm inserting some 5 records I would like to insert inside this contact object. Upon inserting those records, I'm going to be giving some information over here. Now 5 records I would like to insert, the remaining records I don't want to insert. So for that here I'm removing the remaining records. So now this ID is also not required for me upon inserting that record. Sorry. I have removed that here. Now whatever the name that you want, you can specify. I'm giving that last name as data loader 1. The first name is contact 1. I'm going to be getting this information over here. I'm going to be inserting the record like this. Now, the last name is like as data loader 1, data loader 2, data loader 3, 4, 5. First names are contact 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like that, I'm giving this information here. Now, I'm giving this a title value as well. I'm giving some PAN number also. So now here I'm giving some PAN number. So now I would like to insert these records. Here I will show you 2 things here. Let's see practically. What kind of these 2 options are available? Let's see. I'm saving this file now. These are the 5 records are there which I'm trying to be inserting into my data, into my contact object right now. So now let's see. Now save this file. I'm saving this file right now. Yes. I would like to save this file with the name contacts insert. Insert.csv. I'm giving that contacts insert.csv. Let's save this file. Now, this is the insert records are available, which I'm going to be inserting right now. Now, these are the 5 records are there inside my file. I would like to insert these records. Go to your data loader, click on insert button, select the object in which you would like to insert the record, select the object as contact, and then select that source file where exactly the records are available. Click on browse button, select that source file, click on next button. Now, it is giving that information that initialization succeeded. Your operation will contain 5 records. Yes, because I have specified only 5 records inside that. Click on OK. Now it is going to be preparing that. In my particular file, I'm having some columns are there. In those columns, I'm having some record values are there. But inside my Salesforce instance, I'm having the object, I'm having some field. So at that time, which column value you want to store into which field of your object here. So that we have to map that file columns into your fields inside your object here. For that, it is giving this information to you. Do you want to map it manually or do you want to map it automatically here? So for that, here it is going to be giving this information. Create or edit a map button. Click on that create or edit a map button. Nothing but this is the column, nothing but file column header. These are the various headers are available inside your file column. Now we have to map these columns with your object field so that this column value has to store into this field, this column value has to store into this field like that. We have to map that. Click on that and then specify that create or edit a map button. Now inside that it will be having that information auto match fields to columns. There is a button called as automatically map this one. So now at that time Salesforce is going to be identifying with exactly with the same name, do we have any field APIs available inside our object or not. If it is available, it will pick up those fields. It will be mapping automatically by default to you. Now, in some cases, in the next scenario, I will show you here practically here. Because if the column names in the file and in the field API names both are different, then how to map this one we'll see practically here. Now here in this case, the column names and the field names in that API, in that object, both are same, so that it is mapping automatically all the fields one by one. Now click on OK button. Now this column headers and the field names we have mapped automatically here. Go to the next button, select the output directory location where exactly you want me to store that success and the failure files. Because upon inserting that, some records may be success, some records may be failure. Then how can we store that, where we can store that success files and the error files? Now click on browse button, select the location where you want to store that. We have created a folder called as data loader extraction. In that folder, I would like to store this files information. Whatever the output files generating by the sales data loader, that I would like to store inside this folder here. Select the data loader extraction, click on OK. Click on finish button. Now it is giving this information here. You have chosen to insert the records. Click as to begin. Do you want to proceed? Yes. So now here it is giving this information. The operation has fully completed. There were three successful inserts and the 2 errors. Nothing but 3 records has been inserted successfully and the 2 records has been failure. Then why? What is the problem with those records? Here, let's see practically. Go to your extraction files. Here you are generating the 2 files to you over here. It has generated 2 files to you over here. Now this is the file names. One is the success file. Second one is the error file. Now for this files, it has given that name to you here. Let's copy this file name. Now this is the file name it has generated here. This is the success file. In this success file, it will be having that file names are available here. Success 121416, like that it is giving that name. This name is nothing but, this number is nothing but, this is the date timestamp. Now 12 is nothing but the month. 14th, date. 16, year. 6, hours. 55 minutes. 33 seconds. And then 806 milliseconds. Nothing but it is using the date time stamps in order to prepare that particular success and error files to you here. By using this date time stamp, we can able to identify which one will be the latest generated log file. Nothing but that file we can fetch from that extraction folder here. Now, let's go to your folder, verify that which records has been inserted successfully. Now, whenever the records has been inserted successfully, then Salesforce is going to be adding a column at the end that is called as the status column. In that status column, it is going to be indicating item created. Nothing but the record has been created successfully. Now, when you go to that failure file, let's verify this is the error file. Double click on that error file. It is giving that information, invalid email address. Nothing but this email address which we have specified, this is not in a valid format. This is in an invalid format is available, so that here these records cannot be able to insert into that. Now, so now this email ID is not in a valid format, so that it is going to be failing those 2 records over here. Nothing but what happened, data loader is supporting that partial processing. Generally, whenever you are performing some transactions, in the transaction we are having some certain operations are there. While performing those operations, if any of the operation has been failure, then the whole transaction will be getting rolled back. But when coming to the data loader, what happened is it is supporting that partial processing, where upon performing that operation, if any of the record has been failure, it won't stop the transaction, it won't cancel the transaction, it will continue with the rest of the records automatically by default here. So that it is allowing that partial processing to you. Now let's see here. I would like to insert few more records over here. I'm renaming that file. Or else I can able to create a record here. Now I would like to create few set of records where I would like to give the different column names for my file header. For this column header, I would like to give some different names here. Now, I'm giving this file names as the record names contact11, or I'm giving that name as bulk1, 2, 3, 4, like that here. Bulk1, contact1. Contact11 and the contact12, 13, 14, 15. Now I'm giving that email IDs as well here. sample@some gmail.com. And then this email ID also I'm changing over here. sample1@some gmail.com. So now here, these are the 5 records I would like to insert right now. Now here I'm changing that column headers. Like instead of specifying some first name, I would like to specify that contact first name. Contact first name. And I'm giving that last name column value as the column header as contact last name. Now I'm changing this column headers. Now here I'm, instead of phone, I'm specifying the contact number. Instead of fax, I'm specifying that column name as fax number. Instead of specifying that mobile phone, I'm specifying that contact mobile. Instead of specifying some email, simply email ID. Title, instead of title, I'm specifying like as designation. And then department and the PAN number. Observe this one. In this case, what happened? Now the column names inside the file and the API, so the field API names are completely different. So at that time, how can we map these things? We'll see practically here. Now let's save this one. I'm saving this file. Now, I'm saving this file over here. I'm saving this file with the contacts extracts1.csv. I'm giving that extension .csv and my file name is contacts extracts, sorry, the insert. I'm inserting this records. Insert 1. Contacts underscore insert 1.csv file. Click on save. Now with these details, the file has been created for you. Let's try to insert these records. Observe what will happen in this case. Click on insert button. Select the object in which you would like to insert the records. Select that contact. Choose that source file where exactly the files are available. Now I'm selecting that contacts insert 1. Click on open. Okay, click on open. Now the file has been selected, the source file. Go to the next button. It is giving that information your operation contains 5 records. Yes, correct. I have entered only 5 records only. Now, these are the various file column names available inside your file, CSV file. Now map these file columns with that object fields. Click on create or edit a map button. Click on auto match fields to columns. Now when you click on that auto match fields to column, at that time only the department name column and the PAN number column both are same inside your file header as well as in that objects API also, field also. The remaining field names and the column names are not matching, so that it is not mapped here. Then how can we map this one? Let's see. Now these are the file column names are available. These are the file column names are available. And then these are the actual fields available inside your object here. These are the fields available inside your object. Now just you can drag and drop wherever you want. Okay, just drag and drop. Let's see here. Now the first column is contact first name. Now inside my object, you will be having a field called as first name here. This is the first name field. Now just a drag and drop in this location. Okay, drag and drop. Nothing but we are mapping manually one by one. When if the object API names, so the field API names and the column headers both are different at that time, we have to map it manually. And then last name, drag and drop. Now this will be stored into that last name. Now we are having the contact mobile. Now this mobile has to be get stored where inside that mobile phone value. Inside that mobile phone. Contact number. Contact number is nothing but what? The phone. The phone field. Phone field is nothing but the contact number. And then designation. Nothing but what? Title. Title. Title is nothing but into the designation here. Email ID. Email ID column values has to be stored into that email field. Now map this to the email field. Fax number to that fax field. So now we have mapped it manually here. Now this is the way. If the column names inside that file and the field API names both are same, then no need to map manually. Automatically you can map here. If both are different, then we have to map it manually by using the drag and drop option. Now click on OK. Once you click on OK, then go to that next button. Click on select the destination location. This is selecting by default as my data loader extractions. Now click on finish. When you click on yes, it is going to be performing those operations. There were 5 successful inserts and 0 errors. Nothing but all the records has been inserted successfully. Now let's go to your Salesforce instance and go to your contacts. You can able to get those records as well. Now these are bulk 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, contact 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5. Nothing but all these records has been inserted successfully over here. Now this is a way we can able to insert the record by using that data loader tool into your object over here. The next one. If you want to delete the records, then click on delete button here. What are the records that I have inserted right now? I would like to remove those records over here. So for that, to remove those records, just we need that ID of the records here. Okay, just we need the ID of those records. Now, so now here I'm going to be opening that record here. I'm opening that file. I would like to get all these 5 records IDs. This is a success file which has recently generated by Salesforce. Now these are the 5 IDs are available here. I need these 5 ID values. Now I'm creating a new file. Inside this file, I'm going to be placing all these 5 ID values here. What are the records that I have created? These 5 records I would like to remove right now over here. Now let's save this file. Inside your desktop location, I'm having the data loader extractions. Inside that, I'm going to be preparing that file here. Contacts delete.csv. Contacts delete.csv. What are the 5 records that I have created? I would like to remove those records here. Now let's supply this file to your data loader to remove these records. Click on delete button. Select that object from which you would like to remove these records. My object name is contact. Select the source file where exactly you have placed that IDs of those records which needs to be get removed. Now this is the file contacts delete. Click on open. Go to the next button. It is giving the error message the file is not in a correct format here. Now let's cross check that file. So now here I would like to copy this data. I'm trying to be creating that file. Let's open this file. I'm placing inside this. I'm removing all these columns information. Save as. I'm going to saving like as a comma separated value file. Now I would like to specify contacts delete .csv. Yes. Yes. So now I would like to use this file to remove these records. Now, click on the delete button. Select the object from which we want to remove the records. Select that file, contacts delete. Click on next button. It contains the 5 records. Now it is mapping that ID. Now automatically map that column. So now it is using that ID column to remove the records. Click on OK. Go to the next button. Click on finish. Now it is giving that message. The number of records allowed in your recycle bin is limited. The action you are about to take may cause irreversible data loss to records also. Nothing but if you are removing some millions of records at a time, at that time, what happened is, whatever the record that you have removed, all the records cannot be able to accommodatable inside that recycle bin. So at that time, whatever the records are capable to accommodate inside the recycle bin, only those records will be getting resides and the remaining records will be removing permanently from your Salesforce instance, so that we cannot able to restore those records back. So if you want to proceed further, then we can able to continue by click on S button. Click on S. Only 5 records I'm removing right now. All the 5 records has been deleted successfully over here. Click on OK. So now go to your record. Success file has been getting generated over here. Now inside that record has been deleted. It is giving that information item deleted. So now when you go to your Salesforce instance, inside that, just to refresh this instance, now these records should be removed. Nothing but these records has been removed over here. When you go to that recycle bin, inside that recycle bin, you will be having these 5 records are available. Like as bulk 1, contact 1, like that here, all these 5 records are available inside my recycle bin here. All the records has been removed. So now this is the way we can able to perform the operations on the records inside our object with the help of data loader. Okay. So now we are having 3 more buttons are available, 4 more buttons. We'll be seeing in the next session here.
Firoz, do we have a